You respond to inquiries in 24 hours, but the photographer who books your client responds in 8 minutes. And that's the difference between broke and six figures. I'm Sava, I'm the head of marketing at Weblingo, and we've helped photographers generate over six figures through a marketing system. And I've spent the last few months trying to figure something out. Why do photographers with worse portfolios consistently book more work at higher rates? So I started digging. I looked at photographer forums. I talked to business clients about who they actually hire. I even interviewed photographers who are stuck at $60,000 and under, and those who are clearing multiple six figures. And what I found wasn't about photography at all. It's about this one thing no one wants to admit. And you're treating this like art when clients are buying logistics. So let me explain what I mean. There's this stat from Honeybook that kept showing up everywhere I looked. When someone fills out your contact form, you have 10 minutes to respond. After that, your booking rate drops off a cliff because that person isn't just contacting you. They're contacting 5 other photographers, and whoever responds first while people are thinking about it, that's the one who books. Not the best portfolio, the fastest response. I saw photographers in forums complaining that they're losing work to worse photographers. And then you ask how fast they respond to inquiries. They say, "Oh, I usually get back within 24 hours." And that's your problem. By 24 hours, someone else already booked them. And this is just one piece of what I found. So there are actually 3 specific systems that six-figure photographers all have in common. And response time is just the first one. The second is a follow-up sequence that most photographers don't even know exists. And the third is how they structure their entire inquiry process so clients pre-sell themselves before ever getting on a call. I break down all 3 systems in my private email list. I send 1 email every day with insights from what's actually working with photographers. It takes 2 minutes to read, and you get immediate access to the full system breakdown when you sign up. The link is in the description. Now, let me show you what else I found. Most photographers send 1 single email when they get an inquiry. Maybe 2 if they're really on top of it. And then they just wait. The client doesn't respond, they just assume they lost it and move on. Meanwhile, I talk to photographers who don't consider a lead a dead end until they followed up 7 or 8 times. And they're not being annoying about it. They have a specific system, things they say at specific intervals that actually get responses. One photographer told me she doesn't book most clients until the 5th or 6th follow-up. That's because people get busy. Your email gets buried in their inbox. They saw it, forgot to respond, and yeah, life happened. But if you only send 1 email, you'll never know if they were actually interested or distracted. Now, let's talk about pricing, because this is where I see photographers completely sabotage themselves. And most photographers look at what other photographers charge. So let me explain. They see someone at $500 per session, so they charge $450 to be competitive, thinking lower price means more bookings. But here's what's actually happening. The photographer who's charging $500 is probably barely even breaking even. Maybe they're even losing money when you factor in everything. So now you're charging less than someone who's already undercharging. So you're both broke. I saw this breakdown from a photographer who finally sat down and did the actual math. They counted in the gear costs, insurance, software, subscriptions, editing time, taxes, all of it. And when she added everything up, she realized she needed to charge 3 times so that she was just to break even, right? This is not unusual. Most photographers have no idea what it actually costs to run their business. They just know they need to charge something, so they base it on what other photographers charge, which is based on what other photographers charge, which is based on fear, not math. The photographer making 6 figures, they stopped comparing to other photographers entirely. They calculated their real costs. They added profit margin. Then they raised their prices. And you know what happened? They booked the same number of clients. Because price is not the problem. Confidence is. There's this whole psychology to pricing that no one talks about. And it's called anchoring bias. People see prints at the grocery store for $5, school photos for 30. So in their head, photography cost somewhere between $5 and $30. And then you quote them $2,000 and they think you're insane. Not because your work is not worth it, but because their brain is anchored to grocery store pricing. So, what do most photographers do when they sense resistance? They panic. They drop their price to $1,500, then $1,200, and then down to $1,000 because they're scared of losing the client, right? But here's what actually works. You have to re-anchor them. Show them you're not grocery store photography. You're solving a completely different problem. And this is where your website comes in. I've been looking at photographer websites for months, and most of them are doing the exact opposite of what works. They say things like passionate photographer specializing in natural light, or capturing your special moments, or making memories last forever. All of that is selling photography. No one buys photography, they buy outcomes. A business owner is not buying photos. They're buying the ability to launch their product on time, to look professional to their customers, to not have to think about it. But photographer websites talk about artistic vision and creative approach. Business clients read that and think high maintenance. They want someone who shows up, handles it, delivers fast, and not someone who needs 3 consultation calls to understand their vision. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have artistic vision. I'm saying your website shouldn't lead with it when you're targeting commercial clients, because they don't care. They care about speed, reliability, and certainty. Look, there's a specific way to structure your website so that it converts way better. What to put on your homepage, how to present your pricing so people don't ghost after seeing it. What social proof actually matters versus what you think matters. We post a website guide video, I'm gonna link it down in the description so that you could see actual examples and what makes a photographer website actually convert. Now, here's something else I noticed. The successful photographers I talk to all do phone calls. Every single inquiry gets a phone call, not email back and forth. An actual phone call. Because when you can talk to someone for 15 minutes, your close rate goes through the roof. They hear your voice. You're not just a website anymore. You're a real person. And trust builds way faster on a call than through email. One photographer told me her booking rate went from around 30% to over 70% just by adding phone calls to her process. And that's massive. But most photographers hate the idea of sales calls. They think it's pushy, so they just email pricing and hope for the best. Meanwhile, the photographer who picks up the phone books the client. And there's a specific framework for these calls that makes them not feel like sales calls at all. If you're interested, just comment down below, we could make a video on it. Now let me show you something most photographers are completely ignoring. And that's the Google Business Profile. Not Instagram, not TikTok, but Google Business Profile. When someone needs a photographer, they Google it. If you're not showing up there, you're basically, you don't exist. I saw a stat that 95% of photographers either don't have a Google Business Profile or haven't touched it in years. Meanwhile, businesses are literally searching for photographers in their area right now, and you're invisible. So setting this up takes maybe an hour. But most photographers never do it because they're focused on social media posting on Instagram where nobody's actively looking to book. So instead of being on Google where people are searching with intent right now, you decide to post on IG. And here's what works. So you set up your profile, you get reviews from your past clients. Most of your past clients probably haven't even left a review. So just ask them. Most will do this if you make it easy. And then there's this thing no one does. So you post updates on your Google Business Profile every couple of weeks. It doesn't have to be fancy, just quick client testimonial, recent project, behind the scenes, even an offer. It shows Google that you're active and it ranks you higher in local search traffic. Photographers ignore this completely. I'm gonna sound harsh here, but most photographers are broke because they don't treat this like a business. They treat it like creative work. They focus on getting better at photography, taking editing courses, buying new gear, learning new techniques. Meanwhile, their inquiry response system is a mess. Their follow-up doesn't exist. Their pricing is based on copying other broke photographers. Their website talks about passion instead of results. And the photographers who are making six figures figured out the business side. And that's basically it. They've automated email responses that go out immediately. They have follow-up sequences that run on a schedule. They have clear pricing packages that show value. They get on calls with every serious inquiry. They respond in less than 10 minutes during business hours. They follow up 7 or 8 times before considering a lead dead. They stopped trying to be artists and started being problem solvers. Because here's the reality. No one is going to pay you based on how passionate you are about photography. They're going to pay you based on how easy you make their life, how fast you respond, how clear your process is, how certain they are that you'll deliver what you promised. Your portfolio gets them to your website, but everything after that is your business. And most photographers are incredible at the photography part, but they struggle with the business part. So they have amazing work that no one sees. They price based on fear instead of actual costs. They wait for inquiries instead of following up properly. And then they wonder why they're broke. If you're getting inquiries but not booking them, it's not your portfolio or your photography. It's your systems. If you're constantly busy but not making money, you're undercharging because you never did the math. And if clients keep saying that you're too expensive, that's just simply a positioning problem. You're not positioning yourself differently enough from budget photographers. These are all solvable problems. But you have to actually treat this like a business. And honestly, that's exactly what we teach on our private email list. One email every day, it takes 2 minutes to read, and it's all insights from what's actually working with photographers and talking to their clients. Not theory, what's working right now. And when you sign up immediately, you get access to all of the courses that we made free. Just check out the link in the description. You can read a bit more about it. And every day after that, you get one new insight. It could be a case study from a photographer we're working with. It could be something that we learned from interviewing business clients. It could be a breakdown of why something is costing you bookings. It's all stuff that you won't find anywhere else because we're actively testing it with real photographers, not recycling the same advice everyone else gives. The link is in the description. It's completely free and you can unsubscribe whenever. But if you want to actually fix the business side of photography, this is how you do it. I'll see you inside.